Okay, ready?
Okay, yep.
Okay, good evening. This is the Clubhouse Renovation Committee as we're presenting our findings in renovation of the clubhouse. So I'm going to start off with Tammy. I'm sorry, I'm Barbara, Tammy, Carly's behind the camera, and Keith you'll see a little later.
Or right now.
Or right now. Okay, Tammy, go ahead.
So just an opportunity of going around and talking with some of the owners. I actually did ask some people, what are your concerns or your thoughts on the clubhouse renovation? And these seem to be the most prominent that came up, so we'll just go through these really quickly. Will there be a one-time assessment on the owners to cover the clubhouse renovation? And you'll see in bold and underlined, no. There will not be an assessment imposed on any owner. There are sufficient funds in our reserves for this project. Secondly, we've heard rumors that our condo dues will increase due to this project. Again, the answer is no. Your condo fees will not be increased because of the clubhouse renovation project. We already have monies set aside to cover that expense. I don't really see the point of spending money to update the clubhouse. I rarely, if ever, use the clubhouse. Bringing the clubhouse up to date and out of the 70s will increase all of our property values in the Moorings. In addition, should you ever decide to sell your unit, having a beautifully updated clubhouse as an amenity will likely increase the chances of you getting your asking price.
Oh, sorry.
Can't we just replace the carpet with new flooring? That's really the only need I see. There's limited functionality in the kitchen as it stands now. The sink is too small to actually wash any dishes, pots, or pans. We do not have an oven or cooktop to eat food or keep food warm. There are not enough electrical outlets to tell everybody to bring their food in a crock pot. The lighting is insufficient, and with LED lighting throughout, it will lessen our utility bill and be increasingly more efficient. I'm concerned after this renovation is done that there will be some owners who will not take care of it when they use it or do damage to the interior. We will still require a $100 deposit, and if this project is approved, the board is considering a non-refundable usage fee as well to help defer cleaning costs, etc. Should damage occur, deposit will be kept and the owner will be charged for any repairs above and beyond the deposit.
Okay.
Very good.
Tammy, you can do this one.
So what are the benefits? Updating the clubhouse will not increase dues, so we're just reiterating that again because there has been some rumors going out about that. It is not going to increase your homeowner's dues. The funds for the renovations are listed as a line item in the reserve study. The money is there. Repairs that are needed and not cosmetic. Flooring, electrical, ceiling, possible mold in several places.
Okay, so I'm going to jump out of this and show you the virtual tour.
Okay.
Okay, so here's our virtual tour, and this is where Carly comes in because she designed this.
So the next slide I think starts at the very front, even though that is side view. So this is walking in the doors, the wall right there, just doing something nice to look through there. You see the flooring, that was the bathroom. I think that it's going backwards, so give me a minute. Okay.
Okay,
So
can I
here's the
stop this?
kitchen. Yeah, you should be able to stop it by clicking on the arrows.
Let me start there, and then, so that can stop. Okay, there's the door.
That's 5, and we can just let it slide through if you can't stop it.
Okay, this is the walking
There
in
it
the
is.
front door.
This is walking in the front door. Is it letting you do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you stay on that button, it should do it. This is just the hallway coming down right here on the left side of the building. The bathroom is here. The what we're going to call the storage room is here. And then to the left, we've opened up the kitchen.
Went down
Sorry,
that way.
yeah. There's a few glitches I'm trying to fix on this
There it goes.
program. So we've opened up these walls here and on the side there for a more open feeling. The reason we didn't open it up all the way is because of structural needs here that would have cost extra money that we did not want to do. So that's going to allow for space, but yet still give us what we need structurally. So it's not a huge expense to open those 2 walls. We're going to mirror that on the other side where the pool table is, just for it to all feel very open. This is the kitchen. We're going to turn around and see it in just a second.
Okay.
Should hopefully turn.
I might have to go back to it, so
Yeah.
we just hold you there.
Okay, so here is
Hold
the
on.
living area.
I'm gonna try to go back. That was what, you ate. There we go, let me stop that right there. Wait.
It's okay, just keep going forward.
I'm sorry.
We'll make it back.
There, I'm stopping.
All right, so this is an island right here. It's gonna be it's not gonna be wood. Oh, well, I'm sorry, it is gonna be wood, but it will most likely be painted white to match the kitchen cabinets, and it will be, you'll see in the floor plan when we go visually on the top, when we look down bird's eye view, you'll see the island stretches out through the middle of the kitchen, and it's gonna be about 80 to 85 inches long. It's gonna hold 4 bar stools on each side and allow for people to sit there at times and for those chairs to be removed and be out here. And that to be an island where we put all the food when we have our gatherings. So it's multi-purpose. You'll see a better shot of it when we get back to the kitchen. This is a seating arrangement here in this room. We're working on the furniture, we'll talk about more later, but we're trying to use indoor-outdoor furniture that has sorry, all of a sudden I can't think of the word.
Sunbrella.
Yes, sunbrella, and then an aluminum frame. Aluminum, I couldn't think of that word. And so we have a couple of ways we could do the furniture. This is one example of doing a long piece that L's out, and it allows for a lot maximum seating. These tables also are going to be able to be very functional in the sense that they're covered in a zinc top. So that's the choices here. As far as all of this goes, these are actually going to be shutters on all the windows. My program just didn't allow for me to put shutters on the windows, so there's
Plantation
blinds.
shutters?
They will be
Plantation shutters, yes.
And they are actually being donated by one of our homeowners.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll be really pretty.
Yeah.
So sorry I couldn't get that visual. And then we've got our tables that are staying for the time being, and the chairs that are staying, and we'll address that in a few minutes as well. So we'll have our amount of seating that we always have. So that's what you see here. The fireplace is staying just like it is. This doesn't show it exactly how you see it here, but the only thing we'll change is we're going to paint the whole thing white. So, which it really pretty much is, except for the top. So that's the only thing that will change about the fireplace. And then we are going to put the TV above the fireplace. That would be a change. And that way everything's a little more central. Whenever people come in here to watch games or anything like that, it's nice for it to be sort of where everybody can see it. So, so you see this is opened up. Just like the other side, and that's a really sad looking pool table, but that's the only one I could find in my program. But basically that room will stay a multifunction room as long as that's what people want it to be. At some point we might put a better pool table in there that's from Craigslist or something.
Is that potentially what the fireplace will look like, or is it just gonna get painted and remain?
It's just gonna get painted, yes.
That was nice.
I know, well, we could always resurface it if that, at some point wanted to
Well,
be
it makes
done.
it look modern, attractive.
It does.
Gas insert or something?
Yeah, but I mean, we could sheetrock it. I mean, that's not a huge expense.
Yeah, no, on here on the sides.
Yeah, so, but as of right now, this
Yeah.
was just the best I could do. Okay, so it should take us to the kitchen in a minute here. Just keep
I'm gonna let
going.
it keep going.
Yeah, because it'll go back there. I don't know what happened with that one. All right. So this is the side view of the front.
I'm gonna try to stop it as
I
best I
don't know
can.
why it didn't take us to
Beautiful.
the turned view. So just
Yeah.
keep going, and hopefully it will. If not, I'll pull it up on my computer and
Yeah, you might have to.
go to the cameras. Something's going on.
There it is.
We go.
There it is.
Okay, so this is the kitchen. Here's the island. We have it bar height for it to be very similar to what people are used to here, and bar stools. And
How many
then
bar stools?
there's 8 bar stools total. We do have the ability to extend the island a little bit longer, but I think 8 bar stools is about all that room can take.
That's about all it has now. if you
Right.
sit around for it.
True. We've got cabinets here. We don't need a lot of storage, but some storage is nice. We've got a stove, which we feel like we need, and an oven for heating. And then the refrigerators. It's a very simple kitchen. There's not a lot going on. And just a little bit of storage. The main thing that everybody wants is the island. That's what we've got in there. So we don't have anything over here on this wall. It's very open. You can go all the way around it easily. So it's a great gathering spot. So
Right,
that
maybe you got some questions.
is important.
Is there a microwave in the kitchen?
There can be right here.
There's one that's been donated. That's-
I just think a lot of people bring food, then they want to.
That could be, yeah, helpful. So there, that spot can be
Yeah.
one of those microwave,
Okay.
Yeah,
you
we-
know, fans.
we donated ours.
Did you have a question, Charlie?
Yeah, the size of the sink that you guys are proposing.
Yeah, we'll get to,
We'll get to
we'll
that.
show that in just a minute. Because it's a fairly large one for the use of cleaning up. So, okay, so I think we're good with that.
So, do you want me to do any more of the virtual tour or
No.
come back out?
I think we're good with that.
Okay.
And I'm developing that a little bit, so hopefully it'll be a little smoother next time around. Here's the top-down view, which, whoops. we
Did I
lost
use, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to show that. Sorry, I forgot that was on
No,
the
that's all right.
last.
There you go.
So here we go. It's top-down view. You see the bathrooms. The bathrooms are really just going to become a one sink, one toilet thing. No divider wall or anything like that. And that's a really simple kind of deal. And then the office here will remain the same, apart from hopefully getting cleaned out a little bit. So really that's it. The furniture is actually fairly minimal, but we do want it to be quality furniture so that it lasts. So that we'll get to in a few minutes. But anyway, there you see the island. There's plenty of space to walk around it. Nothing's infringing anywhere. So this is really all about gathering, which we hope will be done more and more with this clubhouse. So, okay. This is a representation of, it's blurry, but it's a quartz countertop, which we feel like would be, we walked through and looked at a bunch of different countertops, pricing, stability, how's it gonna hold up, will it get burned, will it, you know, be something we have to maintenance, all of that. And we feel like the quartz silestone or one of those is probably the best option. Going with something neutral, so that's what that is. This is a representation of what the cabinets will look like. Very simple shaker style white cabinets. Easy to upkeep, easy to paint when they start to look a little bit dingy, things like that. So trying to think about long term in all of these decisions. Okay. I don't know what's next. Oh, the kitchen island. This is just a drawing we did so that we could get a quote on it. And that's sort of the 80 by 32, somewhere in that range, and it's going to look a lot like that painted white, most likely. So it can be really anything, but okay. And then bar stools, this is just an option, sort of a representation of the type of bar stool. They're commercial grade, so they should do pretty well, not be heavy or anything like that, but still hold up. And then here is the type of sink we're looking to do, something that's just a big open space so that it holds a lot and can clean easily with a pull down nozzle for easy dish cleaning, because that's really what that's needed for mostly, and filling up pots and stuff like that maybe, I don't know. And then oven, we can talk about a lot of different ovens. I just chose this one because it had 2 places where you can warm things, which seems to be the high priority over here. So it felt like that would accommodate the most for the least amount. So
just one other thing, there's a fairly new oven that was donated as well.
okay,
I don't know if you've seen it or not.
I haven't seen it,
Yeah.
but so that's an
Sandy can
option.
tell you.
Yeah, well, those doubles are nice, we have them.
Yeah. I've had one
It's nice to
before.
only be able to light up this much of your oven.
Right.
Put pizza in or whatever.
Right. I mean, if we can afford it, these are the things we would like to do. So this is sort of our ideal.
Yeah, and this is your display to the unit owners, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Because when, you know, like you were talking about the stools, I think it's important to mention that they're commercial grade stools.
Right.
Because I think people would like that personally. And
Right.
anything we can do to kind of get them on board, I mean, I'd be all about it.
Okay. We can add that maybe to our
The PowerPoint.
descriptions. Yeah.
Just, you had some verbiage on there. just
Yeah. I'll add to
another-
that.
Another bullet on there.
Okay. Good point. So refrigerator, you know, basically same idea, just trying to have as much space as we can, but still have one that'll fit right there and not, you know, not too big, but We don't want people leaving stuff in there, but, okay. This is the furniture broken down more with just, telling about it. This is zinc tops, so I feel like that's just a really great way to go for the fact that anything you put on it, it's not gonna hurt it. And it's kind of got a worn look to it that will adapt well, and it's very beachy and postal, so. This is just showing you the stain resistant. Fireplace, fireplace won't be there. But that was the best picture I could get. But that's the idea. We can certainly do a different configuration, chairs and a sofa. The more I looked at it, cost effective wise, this seemed to be the most amount of seating for the least amount of money. So that's why I went that direction. And stainless steel hardware, I talked about the fabric, and then the actual frame on this is one that holds up really well over a long period of time. So.
Okay. And Tammy, I know you're filming, but do you want to talk about your backings and your chairs?
Well, I think one of the board members had concerns about wanting maybe new chairs and tables. And just to save some cost, we felt like we could maybe buy just covers. That's not the exact one. We've looked at several different options, but basically we can get all new chair covers like that and new tablecloths. We could take them all the way down to the floor for under $100. We can do all 4 tables. So that would save us a considerable amount instead of replacing chairs and tables at this time.
Okay.
And the key word there at this time.
At this
It's
time.
not saying that
Right,
that's not
exactly.
happening.
Somewhere, yeah.
Yep.
All right, so one of the things we wanted to do after the last time we presented to the board was make sure that all the bids are apples to apples. Okay, so we've gone back and done that. So all of the bids are identical in their specs. And all of the bids include the demolition, the new luxury vinyl flooring, the new ceiling knockdown throughout, new kitchen cabinets, countertops, and sink, new custom-made center island, new LED lighting throughout, which are about 44 of them, I believe, new bathroom flooring, sink, and water heater that obviously will supply the kitchen sink and both of the bathrooms. It'll also include widening of the door openings into the bathrooms to make them ADA compliant. It'll also include the opening or removal of the partition walls for the kitchen area and for the pool table room. And it'll include new baseboards throughout and new door casings throughout. And of course, painting. So all of the bids that we're talking about include all of these things, and the specs are the same. They've all been lined up. Okay. Any questions on what's included? No? So I have the misfortune of talking about the money. So what is included in the bids, I just told you.
Did you skip over one?
Did I skip one?
That's why I should be here.
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
Okay. That's why you should be here. So there are a few items that are not included in the bids, and we wanted to make sure we got those out there, okay? Number one is the furniture are not included by any of the contractor bids. Number two, the appliances that you were shown. And number three, there's a miscellaneous here. All of the bids called for actually putting back in the old toilets.
Remove and replace.
Yeah.
These had to reset.
So we said, well, wait a minute here. That might not be the best idea. So that's what's not included. Okay? So we basically have two contractors that we have firm bids on right now. Can Do, Craft Builders. We are waiting for a bid from Quality, but we're not letting that slow us down. our recommendation at this point is to use the figure associated with can do. That we, as a committee, are comfortable with that contractor. And if we had to move ahead right now using that number, we feel confident in it. However, we haven't done what I would call final negotiations with any of these contractors. So at some point, when we have firm direction, we can go back and say, okay, what's your best cost if we're planning on starting on such and such a date? So this is just their first bid to us,
Right.
okay?
Keith, my only question, are we comfortable, and, I mean, do we ask these vendors for their qualifications or projects they've done, so we feel comfortable they're gonna do a quality job?
Yeah.
'Cause I haven't heard of any of those.
Yeah, these are up here, and I can tell you, we can tell you details on
Okay, as
on
long as you
them.
looked at that. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. This is just obviously an overview
Alright.
and saying here's who we have and here's how much their bids came in, but
Sure.
we do have details on all of them.
Perfect.
Okay, so let's talk about the finances here. Currently in the reserves, we have $51,621 allocated towards the clubhouse renovation components. Okay? The committee is recommending the bid of $50,145. That was the can-do bid. The items that are not included are totaling $15,200. If you do the math on that, we are short. If we do everything that we said we were going to do in the bids, and we get all of the furniture and the appliances and everything, we are short by $13,724 as it stands right now. So what do we do with that? There are some options for addressing the shortfall. We could remove items from the bid. We could say, don't do this or that.
Okay. You're not saying remove items from the bid, you're talking about the things not covered by the bids.
No, I'm saying we could remove things from the bid to lower the bids. That's an option. I'm not recommending it, I'm just
Okay, well
saying.
then I'm confused.
Okay,
You had bids, which was included, and then you had things that were not included.
correct,
And the things that were not included were three, if I understand correctly.
correct,
One was the furniture,
correct.
right? And then one was miscellaneous, and then one...
Appliances.
Huh?
And the appliances, right.
So we wouldn't remove items from the bid. The bid would take care of everything except for those three items, right?
No, let me walk through the slide and maybe it'll clarify,
Yeah.
okay? One of the options,
You can remove items from the bid package.
one of the options is to remove items from the bid. In other words, let's just say theoretically, we said, you know what, don't remove these walls.
Right.
That'll save us money in those bids. Now, I'm not suggesting we do that. It is an option to go back and remove items from the bid. Oh no, we're not going to do the lighting. Or we're not going to do the popcorn ceiling. It's an option to address the shortfall. Okay, that's one option.
Okay.
Another option, member donations. We've been approached by many homeowners out here that are willing to say, hey, if we knew what we were contributing towards, we would be happy to pony up X number of dollars to make this happen, to make this project happen. So it's another option. A third option is reallocating some of the reserve funds. And I'll just give you one example of that, and it's probably the most viable example. Recently we did a patch and painting of the deck. Is our plan that is sufficient for now? And is it the board's hope that that's going to last several years, or we can continue to patch and paint?
My answer is, the paint was very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Gad and JJ spent a lot of time
Mm-hmm.
patching. It doesn't look brand new, but I think it's going to last at least a couple of years.
Okay.
before it has to be-
The reason I ask that question is there's a line item in the reserve study to actually refurbish this entire patio deck this year. And if the board says, we're not going to do that because we just patched and sealed and painted everything, then theoretically those funds that were allocated towards that project would be freed up. So that's what I'm referring to when I say reallocating reserve funds. Given the funding approach that the community uses, that is perfectly legitimate way to tackle it.
Question, Keith. So the reserve funds for what was done out here, were those funds used on this?
I believe it was operating budget funds, but I don't know. We'd have to ask the treasurer.
You're probably right, it's probably under operating, it probably should. Like, what kind of fund was it, reserve was it to do that?
$15,200.
Okay, so there was maybe $2,000, I just top of my head, $2,000 spent out there.
Yeah, all of the work that was done out here this year is just maintenance, so that way
It was an operating budget.
operating money.
But even if you took money out of the reserves to reimburse the operating budget for what was done,
You'd still have a $13,000 plus surplus.
However,
Yes.
it's really not replacing the deck, we were maintaining the
no,
decking.
but I don't
Yeah.
think he's talking about replacing. Were you?
No.
No, but he's talking about,
Resurfacing.
but we really should be doing that this year, and if we opt not to, we've got that money available.
That's
Just
right. It's
pushing that-
scheduled to be done this
Right.
year.
Right.
And I didn't mean to go so far off on this tangent. I was using that as a
Exactly.
likely alternative, if you will. Okay? Does that make sense, though? Reallocating reserve funds from another item. The last is to delay the furniture purchase until sometime in the near future when we can figure out the funds for that. Okay?
So you have options.
And by the way, we could theoretically use any combination of these, but any one of those might be sufficient.
Okay, so then it's me. Okay, so how we would roll this out would be a presentation like this to the community, where we have the community come in and we present it to them in this kind of format. The issue that we're having now because of, the coronavirus is that we don't want to have too many people in a space like this without protecting those people. So we would have it on a certain date and maybe schedule people that don't have internet or anything like that to come in and see the presentation, and ask questions. Okay, we're going to do a mailing for all the members to make sure they're informed, because we have several members that are owners but do not really have anything to do with anybody here in the community. They just want to be silent, so they need to know what's going on. We want to have links for this presentation and any information on the website that we have. We're also going to do a survey, a community survey. So we're going to mail the survey out. We'll have the survey here for people to fill out when they see the presentation. And then also we're going to put the survey up on the internet so they can take the survey on the internet. And the questions that would be, is this something that you would like to do? You would like to, have renovations to the clubhouse. There's also going to be a question on there, are you willing to donate to this project? So then we'll have a better idea how the community wants to go, and then once we gather all this information, then we can come back to the board and present that to the board. So we have a communication plan to bring us across.
All right, so what do we recommend as a committee right now? We recommend that we deliver the communication plan to the membership. Everybody out here needs to know, what's happening and what the plan is, and be a part of the solution. Number 2 is proceed with the can-do bid unless we get additional information that that dictates that one of the other bids is substantially better. Frankly, we're comfortable with any of the 3 contractors at this point, so it really comes down to who's going to get the best bid and who's going to offer the best timing. Okay? And our recommendation, we didn't want to be presumptuous about reallocating the funds, the reserve reserve funds for the patio. So our recommendation at this point was to delay the furniture purchase in order to make the dollars and cents work. With that said, if the board was comfortable reallocating the funds from the patio resurfacing towards this project, that would likely be preferred because we would be able to do it all at once. Tony?
I think that's a great point, but I think having the presentation out there and finding out if people are willing to donate might even be the better option, because if everybody says, okay, we're gonna pony up 500 each,
Yeah.
end of story.
Becomes a moot point
Furniture,
very
it's a moot
quickly.
point.
Yeah.
So I think we need to let them know that. And I think leaving the delay of furniture purchase up there is good, because they know, minus donation, no furniture.
Right. The fact of the matter is, we can move ahead with this comfortably if the community is willing to make the donations to cover the furniture costs. That's what we're talking about here.
Well, we can move forward regardless.
What's the
Yeah, we can move
timeline?
forward.
Have they given you an estimated time as to when it would take to be completed?
Are you asking when they could start or how long it would take?
Both.
Okay. Both of them said that they could start relatively soon, which would mean theoretically in the next 30 days. I was very upfront with them saying that's probably not going to happen from our end, because
Might be a little longer.
if we have to go to a vote, it's going to take some time to coordinate that vote, right, Patty?
Yep, I just went
Okay.
online just to make sure. And you need a 75% of the total voting interest must approve the alterations or additions. So once the board decides, yes, we're going to do this project, we have to go to the owners and have an owners meeting and have enough proxies and votes, either on paper or in person, to constitute 75%, which is 60? 75% of 80, I can't do math in my head. Of the owners that are going to approve it, otherwise it can't go through.
I didn't think it was 75.
Well, that's Florida statutes. I have to double check.
I thought it was at 60.
I'll double check your bylaws, but I'm just going by Florida
So the
statutes.
bylaws would be the-
And,
I think
but
our
there
bylaws-
is an
I just
owner
read it
approval
recently,
process that we have to
50%.
go through.
It is 50, right?
I think bylaw says greater than 50%.
If you make a change, additions, alterations, my understanding, it's gotta go to a 75%. Florida statute takes precedence over.
Of the documents.
Right.
So if in fact this is if the board approves it to go through, then we do a first mailing, we have our first meeting, we see what our voting is, we see what we've got, and then it will take legwork to get either to convince people that what we're doing is right and good, and to get the people who haven't given us a proxy and a vote.
So Patty, on the best case scenario, what would you estimate that time frame to be?
The proxies for any meeting are good for 90 days. I do believe the original meeting has to have a 14-day notice. So we would have to put something in the mail to each and every owner, letting them know that we need the proxies and votes back by a certain date so that we can, process them. And then once we do that, we would have to continually do a 14-day notice for those meetings.
So
If we don't get everyone on the first vote, then we would have to say, okay, we're gonna have the next one, because I've done this with another property for their pool, and it took us probably 5 meetings to get the necessary votes.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, best case scenario is 30 to 45 days.
Correct.
Likely scenario is as long as maybe
As
90
long as it
days
takes.
or as long
And
as
then
it takes, right?
if you go over those 90 days, you have to do
Do-
a whole nother,
right.
yeah.
So to answer your question about, when is it going to happen and how long will it take, the when is it going to happen is completely dependent on us as a community. And I conveyed that to the contractors. I said, we would love to move ahead very quickly, but there's some processes that we have to go through internally that is likely going to take a couple months, is what I told them. Does that sound reasonable?
Well, I could agree, 90 days out, then how long is it gonna take if they start 90 days out?
They're saying under 30 days to complete.
They figure they can do it in 30 days?
Yeah, right.
We all know how that works because we've all been through it recently. But that's what they're saying,
Okay.
We can certainly kind of nail them down to some time frames when we get into the final stage of negotiation, when we know our time frame. Because right now that's up in the air. So what questions do you have?
No, looks like a pretty good
Uh,
presentation.
That was a great presentation, guys. Thanks
Yeah,
for
y'all
all
did
your work.
fantastic job, thank you.
They
Thanks for all
put it
your
all
work.
together. They're awesome.
But, I have a question.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's gonna be a process and very difficult process to get, 60 votes.
Yeah.
Clearly, the floors have got to be done. What if you did, and I know that you wanna move things around and take out walls and all that, but what if you were to do, the floors? I mean, that would be a huge improvement. I know that that would totally cost
That, and we thought about that, and that is a really good question. The only thing is if we know we have to do the floors, we have to do the ceilings with the floors, because once you scrape this, it's gonna go on there. We can't do new floors and then turn around and scrape it and then do electrical. So that was a thought that we have. We had that thought also. But if you walk around, you can see that there's paint coming off the walls and, that right here, and then there's mold. So
Well, some of that would be considered maintenance, so, I mean, you wouldn't.
Well, it certainly
Or,
is an
sorry,
option.
nothing.
The problem that we run into is that if you start doing it in pieces, the total cost
Yes.
will exceed if you do it all at once, number one. And number two, there will be certain areas that will look piecemeal, because we'd have to go back in and do the floor, theoretically, when we tear out that. So, in our ideal world, we try to attack it all at once to be the most cost-effective approach and to hopefully have the best end result, the best look. So, with that said, we may have to shift gears if we cannot get the vote. At the end of the day, I think our biggest challenge is communicating what everybody in this room just saw today effectively, and letting everybody know that this is a really positive thing for the community.
That's key right there.
This is positive for every homeowner in here, even for homeowners that do not ever step in this clubhouse and don't give a darn about what it looks like. It's a positive for them.
I would recommend on your presentation, I don't remember because it was way back, but your first page be all the positive bullet points.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You want to start out, this is what we want to do, this is what it looks like right now, it's going to benefit the community, this is a very well-used clubhouse. This is probably more used than all of my other clubhouses that I manage combined. It's a resale value. Somebody comes through, a new owner comes through, or a potential buyer,
Certainly.
and they're going to see a gorgeous clubhouse rather than what we have right
You
now.
gotta ask yourself a question. What would I want my unit to look like? Would I want it to look like this? Or, these 70, this is part of our home. It's a part of our community.
Yeah, it's an extension of our
Exactly.
unit.
And it's gonna increase the value of everybody's property out here. I know some people are here for life and they might not have people to give their inheritance to. We do. But, you know, we care about the values.
Sure.
We just have to make sure that's why we made sure that we had a good communication plan, because as we know, there's several people out here that are negative and want to go ahead and tell other people in the communities information that's not correct. So we want to make sure that we are coming across positive, like you said, Patty. I want to make sure that everyone knows it, because there are pockets of people out here that only talk to certain people. So we want to make sure that the communication goes out to everybody. And it's positive and everybody can see it, because I think what we did here today was positive. I don't think we saw anything that was negative.
Well, toward that end, you can certainly contact real estate brokers or real estate salespeople who can tell you their experience in doing comparables among different HOAs on how the clubhouse affects the price of the condo units in the development. They can indicate that it's a 5%, 10%, 20% bump in the sale price of these units.
Yeah, and John, that was
So
a great
you can-
idea.
That's great.
You
We
can
weren't gonna do that. We just
And
didn't
a
have the
couple of
time.
testimonials.
Yeah, we were gonna do that with several real estate agents in the area, but we just didn't have time to get that done for you. Yeah,
And
To
the
your
other
point,
option
we will
too would
include
be-
that.
yeah.
We're gonna be basically taking this presentation and making a couple tweaks based on your suggestions. And we'll add a slide in there addressing exactly what you just said. And that is, we've talked to real estate professionals. Here's what it means to your bottom line.
And the
For
other
you
one
or
too
your
is
heirs.
not even so much owners, but investor owners. What would that do to the price of your rent?
Great
Can you
point.
increase your rent
Great
$100
point.
a month because of this new beautiful clubhouse?
Terrific point.
Yep. I'm gonna get with the realtor that puts out the comparables.
We've got
We already
we've
got
got
it.
her
Got it.
on the list.
Oh, so
Yep.
far.
Just couldn't get her here in time, but yeah, that's what I would.
My only other input that may be helpful for the community is allow them to know, you know, it's gonna be, when we get started, 2-month project, 3-month, whatever.
Right.
Might be just, they'll ask.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll ask, how long is it gonna take?
Time.
Might as well just tell them up front, 2
I got it.
months, 3 months, or whatever. It's just good information for
Yeah,
them.
you're right. Excellent.
Our business.
What else?
That's it. I think you guys did a good job.
Wonderful.
Tweak it a little bit and let's give it to them.
You know, it's a fantastic, it's really an incredible presentation. And I'm just so afraid that it's for naught because of the lack, perhaps, of a public relations campaign. There are people here who don't participate in anything. You know, they just not interested. And then you have people that are perpetual naysayers, that they always have complaints, but they never have solutions. Can we craft a better public relations?
We got our hand on the dial.
Well,
What?
To
Yeah,
your
you're
point,
right,
Jonathan, that slide that Barbie showed
The
you,
first one?
the communication plan,
Yeah.
each one of those components is going to have a lot of detail under it. Okay, that was an overview of a communication plan, but each one of those is going to address and try to overcome objections.
Right.
And make no bones about it, that communication plan is mission critical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mission critical. So
And-
we will be coming back to you as a board with, hey, here's the next piece of the communication plan. What do you guys think? You know?
I think the virtual tour will make a lot of, open a lot of eyes personally.
I do.
Really.
Agreed.
Would it
Agreed.
be helpful
I think you're right.
to make people aware that there might be some alternatives? That if you're not willing to engage in a wholesale reconditioning that may include components which require architectural review, then the board can upon themselves determine that this is a maintenance issue, is that the flooring is now worn out, and that we as a board will make the sole decision to go ahead and replace the flooring. And then we find that the electrical is now dangerous, and then we're gonna do as part of our maintenance issue, we're just gonna replace it.
Well, that would be a board decision. And quite frankly, this is just my humble opinion, kind of off the record, is almost everything we're talking about could fall into that category with the exception of
The removal of the
removal
walls.
of the walls. But everything else legitimately could be considered a maintenance issue.
I personally think it's an excellent thought, but I would give them this first.
Absolutely.
You know,
We would rather rope,
Because they might say, okay, just replace the floor.
we would rather rope everybody
Yeah,
in and
yeah.
be excited about this.
Yeah,
That's,
absolutely.
we
That's
are a
the key.
community of neighbors. Let's get all our neighbors excited about
Sure,
this
absolutely.
and be happy that this is happening.
Absolutely.
There's always going to be a few out there that are going to try to sabotage.
That's okay.
We have to communicate effectively enough where we can overcome a couple of those that might be trying to sabotage the project. Excuse me.
Okay,
And
I
someone
think
said,
that's
sure.
great idea.
Good job, you guys.
Okay,
How
thank
are
you.
gonna present
Tony,
this?
thanks.
How are you
Thank
gonna
you,
present
good
this?
job.
Thank you.
Do you have the communication
Thanks for
plan?
coming there, Tony.
Which